Number one of 16 indicators that you may be a loner, Aspie by choice, is kind of obvious, and that is that you are a loner. Now, it occurs to me that virtually every Aspie, well, at least that I've ever met, is a loner. But the question is, are they a loner by choice? Or are they loners because they have no choice? They're just rejected. They're socially awkward. That's not what they want to do. It's not what they want to be, but that's what they are. So what we're asking today is, are you a loner, but is it by choice? So number one is very obvious. You just are a loner. Now, because all Aspies are loners, obviously this can't be the criteria in and of itself. So we've got 16 rather criteria. So the first one is you're a loner and you actually prefer to do things by yourself. I don't know about you, but when I engage in a project of some kind, I don't want somebody looking over my shoulder telling me how to do it, telling me what buttons to push or how to arrange this thing or that thing, because there is a creative element to just about everything, and you want it to be unique. You want it to be yours. You don't mind people doing their thing. You're perfectly okay with that. You just don't want them telling you how to do your thing, and you're not going to tell them how to do their thing, so you want to go it alone. You want to do it all by yourself. Look what I did. Getting advice from other people, that's perfectly okay if you ask for it, and if they have something helpful they want to add, but you don't want them in the middle of what you're doing. A lot of people just the opposite. They like to have a crowd around them all the time, and everything they do, every project they engage in, doesn't matter what it is. Could be making videos like this one, or it could be repairing a car. It could be having a sewing party. I was going to say knitting party. I guess that's okay. Everything has to be a social event, or they prefer it to be a social event, and that's the way they like it. But that's not the way a loner likes it, because a loner wants to be alone. Kind of obvious, right? All right, number two is this. You keep things quiet. Now, when we talk about keeping things quiet, we're talking about you don't talk about your life a whole lot to anybody, ever. By the way, that's usually a good thing. That's a good way to be secure. All right. Now, some people want to know if your loved ones I'm talking about, they want to know what's going on in your life. But even then, you're not really comfortable about talking about it. I knew a guy one time, this is kind of an extreme case, but he got sued. I don't know why. I think he won the lawsuit, but somebody sued him, and he didn't bother to tell his wife. Seems strange to me that at least you let her know, but, he just liked to keep things quiet, didn't like to cause stress on other people. He just didn't like the drama, so he just kept it quiet, took care of it all by himself, no problem whatsoever. But you don't talk about your finances. And by the way, I'm not a financial advisor, but it's probably a good thing you don't talk about your finances, because if people know you got something, they'll try to take it away from you. Not everybody, but there are people out there like that. They just are. And you don't know who's who always, so you want to keep things quiet. If you have a problem in your life, it may be a physical problem, it's not something you want to talk about. You go out to eat with people, which is kind of rare, but when you do, you don't show them your scars. Oh, I had this surgery, I had that surgery. Now, you may talk about some of that just because it's part of the conversation, but by and large, you just don't talk about your personal stuff by preference. Okay, that's an indicator that, hey, guess what? You're a loner by choice. Number three is this. You are not into, are you ready for this? You are not into cuddling. I've mentioned this on other videos. And by the way, we've got scores of videos on this channel, and they're all up to date. Everything we do it so it's evergreen, so something will be relative a year from now if we talk about it today. So after this video is over, make sure you go to our channel, take a look at some of those other videos. But you're not into cuddling. And something that I mentioned in one of my other videos is I don't even like to shake people's hands. I just give them a fist bump. And they seem to be okay with it. I've never had anybody get upset with me because I gave them a fist bump instead of shaking their hand. I just don't like to be touched that much. I mean, maybe a pat on the back. No, I don't even like pats on the back. I just don't want to be touched. I'm not into cuddling. Number four is that you find fashion to be superfluous. And I kind of struggled over what word I would use there. Would I use the word superfluous or would I use the word ridiculous? Because some fashions, they just look stupid. But everybody does it because they have this urge. They have this natural, innate urge to be accepted. And they go to silly, absurd extremes so other people will say, yes, you are accepted. I'm actually old enough to recall back in a day, well, I guess, and I'm thinking about the Mohawk haircut, where you got your head shaved, but you left a little bit in the middle. But as I was thinking about that, that's kind of in style today. The only difference is they color their hair green. But that's what's in style, then everybody does it. I'm also old enough to remember back in the 50s where the style was for guys to put grease in their hair. I kind of liked it. That Elvis look, that Ricky Nelson look, I thought that was cool. But everybody did it. All the guys did it because that's what you needed to do to be socially acceptable. And then along came the Beatles, and everybody washed their hair because that was socially acceptable. Who cares? Who cares what the style is? Looking on the internet, this to me is just really kind of absurd. You tell me what you think. But home decorating. Did you know there are home decorating styles? Did you know your kitchen may or may not be in style, may not be in fashion? The same thing with your living room and some of those little planters you have around the house, if you have them. Those may not be in style. Who makes these rules? Who decides? I got to admit, I don't like orange kitchens. Orange kitchen counters were popular back maybe in the 70s. I don't know who came up with that. But if that's what you want, that's what you want. Who cares what everybody else wants? If you want orange kitchen counters, have them. But there's this style thing. You think it's superfluous. I like textured ceilings. They haven't been in style for 20, 30 years. I could care less. I like them, so my ceilings are textured. Who's going to see them? Who's going to see them? Very, very, very few people. Okay, maybe the plumber comes in and he says, oh my, this guy has textured ceilings. He is out of style. What am I going to do? I don't care what the plumber thinks. I care, but the electrician or whoever comes in to work on your house, family members come over, they're used to it. They're accustomed to it. Why do we have to keep up with fashion? So you find fashion superfluous. You find it ridiculous. You find it absurd. So you don't try to keep in fashion. There's up to a point, maybe a little bit. But by and large, you just don't keep up with it because it's just silly. And that is an indicator that, hey, guess what? You're a loner. You're a loner by choice. You're just naturally by yourself. All right, number 5 is this. You could go the entire day. You could go the entire day, maybe even longer, without talking to anybody for any reason, and you'd be perfectly okay with that. In fact, you'd probably mark that one up as, hey, I had a pretty good day today. I didn't talk to anybody. Occasionally, yeah, I do like to talk to people just to make sure they're still out there. We can connect a little bit, but by and large, I feel very uncomfortable talking to anybody for any reason, even when I need to talk to them. And sometimes you do need to talk to people, but you could be a loner by choice if you can go an entire day talking to nobody whatsoever, and at the end of the day, you consider that a pretty good day. Number 6 is you like pets. This is one checkbox that I don't check. Most Aspies who are loners like pets because it gives them a little bit of company without having to talk to people. Talk to your dog, talk to your cat, whatever you happen to have. People do that. That kind of amazes me. Why do you talk to your dog? It has no idea what you're saying. Now, if you have a dog who's trained, understands commands, that may be a little bit different, but they have full conversations with their dog. And the dog just sits there and listens. I guess the dog enjoys the sound of the human voice. Soothing, reassuring to the dog, makes for a healthy, mentally healthy dog. I don't understand all that. So, I don't have pets. I think we had one dog maybe 30 years ago. You have to take care of them, But if you like pets, that is an indicator that you are a loner by choice because you prefer the company of little critters over the company of human critters. Number 7 is this: you have no need for validation. Now, I'm not sure that this really applies to younger people, but because, when you're like kindergarten or whatever, and even throughout your elementary schools, and especially in your teen years where there's a lot of peer pressure, you have a need for validation. But even then, even in the teen years, when you are a loner, that validation is not quite as important as it seems to be to everybody else. Everybody wants to be in the in crowd. You don't even know who the in crowd is, and if you did know, you probably think they're weird. They think you're weird, you think they're weird, because, again, they're superfluous. They're hanging on things like, fashions, not just things you wear, but things like words that they say, ways they act. Remember that back in the 80s, there was that Valley Girl thing going on? What was that? And you had all these teenagers talking like they were from California. And even the girls in California didn't talk like girls from California. It was a movie thing. So you just didn't get it. You're not going to run around talking like a Valley Girl just so you can be accepted, especially if you're a guy. Where are we? Number 8 is you use smartphones for emergencies. And that's just about it. I got a smartphone, and in fact, I have to buy shirts that have smartphone pockets in them so I can carry it with me, but I never use it. Almost seldom do I ever use my smartphone. Say, why do you even have a smartphone if you don't use it? The answer is for emergencies. If you're out and about and you get stuck somewhere and you need to call a tow truck, have a flat tire, engine breaks down, I want to be able to reach somebody. If I have a health issue and I'm out there stranded by myself, I want to have some form of communication that is readily available. So I have a cell phone that I take with me everywhere. What's more, it's a camera. Sometimes I'll see something, want to take a picture. Okay, no, I don't. I can't remember taking a picture of anything with my cell phone for a very, very, very long time. Maybe my grandkids, I would take a picture of them, but outside of that, nah. But I've got a cell phone, a smartphone, but I've got it for emergencies, and if you're like me, you just don't text people all the time. I was in a restaurant one time. It was like a fast food place. What was it? Burger King? Maybe it was. I love Arby's. I don't know about you, but if I had unlimited access to Arby's, I'd weigh 300 pounds. I love Arby's. This was in Arby's, I remember. And these guys, I think maybe it was Burger King, but these guys were workmen. They had on the bright orange shirts. They all looked alike and had on the overall things. They were obviously working on a road somewhere. And there's probably, 8 of them. And they all had out their iPhones or whatever device they had, and they were all looking at something on there. All of them, all 8 of them. So I thought it'd be funny, and I said, oh, you guys talking to each other? And they didn't think it was funny. These are, tough guys, bad guys. You don't make jokes with them because life is not funny. Life is tough, those type of people. But anyhow, I thought it was funny, so I went ahead and said it. But the point is, if you are a loner by choice, chances are you've got a phone. But it's for emergencies only. You don't really care to talk and text people. Number 9 is this. You prefer, this is kind of like the first one, but you prefer to go it alone because of the satisfaction factor. You find it very satisfying to do things on your own by yourself. Now, that could include traveling. Particularly when I was younger, like in my 20s, even into my 30s, traveling for me was fun. It was kind of a getaway. And so I like to get in the car and just go. And sometimes I take my wife to visit her family, and then I'd travel home by myself. I love doing that. I would get off the interstate, and I would just drive. I knew I lived east, so I'd go east. I didn't look at the road map until I got lost. Then I'd have to look at it. But to me, that was just fun. I love to travel all by myself. I'd stop someplace all by myself and look around. Maybe, if there were people there, I probably wouldn't. But, there were sights to see. And then when I'd go back to get my wife, I would take her to those places that I discovered while I was on my lone venture. So you prefer to go it alone. That is an indicator that you are a natural loner, a loner by birth. Number 10 is you're really not that into gossip. There's something about people when they get together, they like to talk about people who aren't there. I don't like that at all. When somebody starts talking about somebody else, and it's almost always negative, sometimes, well, if they're related to them, then, like their kids or grandkids, then they're perfect. But typically, when they're talking about someone else, it's almost always negative, something critical. And what goes through my mind is if this person is trash talking someone else to me, then they're probably trash talking me to someone else. I don't like gossip. I don't want to hear what this person did or said or why this person is a bad guy. And the individual talking, of course, they're always perfect because, well, they're perfect because they can see the flaws in everybody else. By the way, if this video is lagging a little bit when I move, that's because of the lighting. It's just now dawn and the sun just now coming up. So that happens because the lighting is configured such that that's what happens. So you prefer to go it alone. You're not into gossip, number 10. And number 11, this is really the same thing as going it alone, but you prefer to travel alone and you find it amazing. All right, we're kind of repeating ourselves there. But you go where you want, when you want, and you wait for no one to keep up. Now, that's not just when you take a road trip, but that could be just running errands. Occasionally, yeah, you can have somebody with you, but by and large, you run an errand, you want to get the errand done. You're on an errand. You're not on a social mission. You're not out there to make small talk. You're out there to get things done. I never could understand this. People would go to malls and spend hours. I don't think they do that anymore because of the online shopping, but they would go to the mall and spend hours to buy one thing. Got to go to the mall, got to buy something, and they're in there forever. I mean, how long does it take to go in, get it, and get out? So when I run errands, I like to get it alone, do it alone. And the other thing I never understood, totally unrelated about shopping at malls, but why people would fight to get the very closest parking space. Because, well, then they don't have so far to walk. Then they go inside and they walk around for an hour. But the good news is their car is close, so they don't have to walk so far to get to the car. The whole idea is go in to walk. So why not park away from the door where you won't get your car scratched, where you don't accidentally bump into somebody? Why don't you park as far away as you can since you're going to walk anyhow and burn a few extra calories? What does that have to do with it? Nothing. It just popped in my head. So I thought I would say that. Number 12 is you prefer to work alone. If you are a natural Aspie, your ideal job is a work-at-home job. You may not have one, but if you did have one, if you did have a work-at-home job, that would be your preference over anything else that is out there. When I had my business, it started work at home, but I had to get an office because I had higher employees. And as we expanded, we had to have space. But by and large, I preferred working, well, I wasn't alone because I had employees, but I like being my own boss. Sounds like an infomercial, doesn't it? But yeah, I was my own boss. I'd go to work when I wanted to go to work. I'd stay home. I was kind of like as I was retired. If I wanted to go out and take a hike, which I did frequently, I would just pack up, leave the office unless there was something pressing that had to be done. And I'd go out in the woods, walk around for a couple hours. Loved it. So if you prefer to work alone, even in a conventional workplace, you prefer your own space. You like to not be bothered by other people. So if you prefer to work alone, that is an indicator that you are a natural loner. Now, number 13 is a no-brainer, and that is you hate social events. Sometimes I like to go to social events if it is, say, like a wedding or something where you know the person and you're happy for them, or just out of courtesy if there's a funeral, somebody who's near and dear to you, you go to those things, but you don't like the social aspect of it. When I go to weddings, and after the wedding they have a reception and everybody gets in a room and they all talk and chatter, I'm back in the corner somewhere observing. Now, I don't know about you, but that sound of the human voice when there's 100 or hundreds or even thousands of people talking at the same time, I don't find it terribly disturbing, but I just don't like it. It's not like screeching your fingernails on a chalkboard, but not that bad. But it's still, to me, it's just kind of annoying. And I don't know how to talk to these people. I don't know how to approach them. They don't approach me. So basically, you just sit there and watch people have fun. That's fun, isn't it? Watching people have fun. Sounds like cafeteria. Sounds like lunchtime in grade school, right? I guess. I didn't actually eat lunch at school. Always went home for lunch. But from what I hear from other Aspies, that is one of the most difficult times in their entire memory was when they went to the lunchroom and they sat down at a table and everybody else got up and walked out. So you prefer to work alone was number 12. Number 13 was you hate social events. Number 14 is this. You may be a natural loner if you value time. In your mind, there is no such thing as saving time. You either use it or you lose it. You cannot take time, put it in a bottle, and use it later because you're not using it now. You either use it or you lose it. So you value time, and in your mind, every minute you spend socializing is a minute that you could have used doing something productive, like sleep. You don't like to waste time. That is an indicator that you are a loner by choice. You're a natural loner. Number 15 is this. You wear headphones to discourage small talk. See somebody with headphone on, walking through the grocery store, or wherever you happen to see them walking down the street, encounter somebody with a headphone on, not to talk to them because they're listening to something that would be rude. So if you are a loner by choice, you figured that out a long time ago. And you walk around with headphones. Now, years ago, they had these things called Walkmans, and that wasn't quite the same thing, but I guess it would work if it had headphones. That doesn't work all the time. I don't know if you ever tried to go to church with headphones, but that is not appreciated by other people because they think you're not paying attention. Of course, they're not paying attention either, but, at least they're pretending they are. So, number 15 is you wear headphones to discourage small talk. And that, by the way, is, I'm wearing them now. This is a headset. But that's another box that I don't check off because to me, it's not that big of a deal. So I just go without headphones. Number 16, finally, being called a loner in your way of thinking is actually a compliment. So when someone says, Ken, you're a loner, and I've heard that a lot throughout my life, particularly when I was in college, there was one of the instructors, he couldn't help but to notice I was by myself all the time. When I was in high school, I had a teacher who actually called me aside and asked me why I was always by myself, why I was a loner. People notice. And I'd always have some excuse if they asked me, like, I don't know what I said, but I gave them some excuse and they understood. They didn't really understand, but, they got their answer, so they left me alone. But to you, that's a compliment because to them, that means you're socially inadequate, or you're socially inept. But to a natural loner, being a loner means you're self-sufficient. You don't need everybody else. Now, you know that sometimes, yes, you do need other people for certain things, but by and large, as you go through life, you are not people dependent. You can survive all by yourself. So when they call me a loner, they're calling me a survivor. And no, I don't hate other people. No, I don't distance myself from other people because I have some kind of a phobia relating to individuals. It's not that way at all. Just like to be alone, like to do it myself, like to get it done. Very proud of myself when I do get something done. And if I need help, which I often do, like if my car breaks down, I got to have help, almost always. So I get help. Have legal issues, you got to get help. But if you don't need help, what's all this socializing stuff about? Okay, you build some, not boundaries rather, but you build some bonds with other people. And that's a good thing. But socializing just for the sake of socializing and having a proclivity to that and thinking that's absolutely necessary to live a fulfilling life, I don't think so. To me, fulfillment is being an individual who can get the job done. And yes, there are two little rectangle boxes on your screen right now. And if you click one of those, our conversation is just going to continue. And this goes on and on and on and on. So you don't have to quit now, but I'm going to go do something else. Take care.